Hi guys, Dr. Rob Barrington here with some more nutrition advice. I'd like to talk today about whole grains and how they can be an important source of antioxidants in human nutrition. Now, when we talk about antioxidants, we tend to think about fruits and vegetables, and fruits and vegetables are very good sources of antioxidants. They contain a range of chemicals, and many of these chemicals have antioxidant effects in human tissues. So, for example, the most heavily researched groups of chemicals in plants are the flavonoids and the carotenoids. They've been shown to be biologically active in humans. They've been shown to have antioxidant effects in human tissue. There are other groups of chemicals in plants. For example, the stilbenes, they're found in the skins of grapes, and therefore they're concentrated in red wine. Stilbenes are important antioxidants in human nutrition, resveratrol being an important stilbene. Olives contain a group of chemicals called the terpenes, and again, these are very good antioxidants and have been shown to be biologically active in humans where they have antioxidant effects. So fruits and vegetables have been heavily researched. We know they contain these chemicals, we know they're biologically active, and they have important antioxidant effects in humans. However, it's unfair to let fruits and vegetables take all the plaudits for supplying antioxidants in the human diet, because whole grains are also a very important source of antioxidants. Now, historically, grains are very important to human nutrition. There is historical evidence that for civilizations to flourish, they require a good supply of grains, wheat being the most common grain used by humans historically, but there are others. There's millet, rye, barley, and also sorghum as well is an important grain. So these grains are important to human nutrition to supply energy, to supply calories, to supply carbohydrate, to supply protein. But they're also an important source of dietary antioxidants. And this is an important consideration in human nutrition because it's a fact that's often overlooked. If, for example, we have a look at sorghum and we look at the anthocyanin content of certain varieties of sorghum, these certain varieties of high anthocyanin sorghum contain more anthocyanins than an equivalent amount of blueberries. Blueberries being really the often quoted fruit that has a very high content of these anthocyanins. So sorghum has an even higher content of anthocyanins than blueberries, which just goes to show its important antioxidant role. If we look at grains in general, grains contain a number of different antioxidants, and more recently, a group called the alkoresorcinols has been researched, and particularly with regard to oats. And these antioxidants have been found to be protective of human tissues. They are biologically active. They do get into the blood. They do interact with the tissues, and they do have antioxidant effects. So whole grains are a very good source of antioxidants. And it's important to understand this because we eat a lot of whole grains. Historically, traditionally, humans have relied on grains to supply energy for their diet, and obviously a large portion of the diet has historically been attributed to the consumption of grains, but also grains are used, for example, to make bread. They're used to make flour, which is put in as an ingredient in many other foods. So grains contribute a large amount of energy to human nutrition. Therefore, they're an important part of providing these antioxidants. Now, what if you don't consume whole grains? Well, if you don't consume whole grains, you are not getting the antioxidants from these important sources. Just as if you don't consume fruit, you don't consume vegetables, you will miss out on the phytochemicals that these foods provide. And that has important implications for disease because increasingly the consumption of whole grains is being shown to be beneficial to the health. Those people who consume a typical Western diet, and that typical Western diet contains refined grains. In other words, the grains have had their bran and their germ layers removed, and with those layers has been removed most of the nutrients within the actual grain. All that is left is a starchy endosperm, which provides starch and little else. And if you consume a typical Western diet that contains refined grains, you are increasing your risk of developing a Western lifestyle disease, such as obesity, such as cancer, or such as cardiovascular disease. Those people who remain true to their roots and consume traditional whole grains have a much higher protection from these diseases. And if you've been consuming refined grains for all your life and you switch to whole grains, your risk of these diseases drops considerably. So whole grains are very important to consume in your diet. If you are consuming refined grains at the moment, if you're consuming a lot of refined breakfast cereals, you're consuming white bread, white flour, all of the refined sources of these refined grains, you need, if your health is important to you, you need to cease that practice and you need to turn to whole grains. I would suggest that you consume a range of different whole grains. Just with fruits and vegetables, the grains tend to have different types of antioxidants within them. So rye has a different antioxidant content to sorghum, and sorghum has a different antioxidant content to wheat. You need to consume a range of different whole grains. The whole grain that has been most heavily researched with regard its antioxidant content is probably oats. If you're not currently consuming oats, I would suggest that you consider it. Oats are a superfood. They will not only lower your cholesterol levels, they will stabilize your blood sugar levels. They will increase production of short-chain fatty acids in your colon, and this has been shown to have beneficial effects. Oats are also a very good source of tocotrienols, and they have beneficial effects on your metabolism as well. So oats are a very good source of antioxidants. They're a very good source of fiber. They're a very good source of many micronutrients. But the same can be said for other grains. It's just that the other grains have not been so heavily researched. Eating a range of whole grains in your diet is therefore important. I would suggest that you perhaps go to a health food shop and have a look at some of the less popular grains that are available. There are all sorts of varieties of rice, all sorts of varieties of grass grains that can be found in health food shops, and I would suggest that if you're not currently doing so, you incorporate a range of these grains into your diet to improve your health over the long term.